Hi there. Today we are going to see how to show a message into a community site for a user. So as you can see here, I have a flow and that it's in a pop-up. And this flow basically is just playing every time the user accesses a page. That's not a record page, that is just the home page. And basically this message can be anywhere. So once the user updates this message, let's say here test and update, so the message goes away, close, and then the message doesn't show anymore. And then if you go to our record, we are also gonna see the update happening. So basically here, as I said, it was a flow, and that's what the video is gonna talk about, how to build that flow. So what we're going to do here, we can create start everything from scratch, and instead we update the email now. We are going to create a flow to update the birth date. Okay. So when the birth date is empty, the idea is that we're going to ask the user to update the birth date. Also, after that, we are going to have a birthday date, but also we are going to ask the user to update the birthday date just to confirm the information. We don't need to set up that, only if it's empty. Okay, so let's get started. So let's create a flow first. It's gonna be a screen flow, and then what we're going to do here first, we're going to get the contact. And here we're going to say get contact. And the contact ID here is going to be the user who is logged in, which is going to be the community user, the digital experience user. So user dot contact ID, and then get the first, and then store in the record data. That's all we want, and we save. And then after here, then we're going to go and build the screen. I'm gonna put the name of the user, text, and in a date field, which is the birth date. So birth date, and then text birth date, and then here is first name and text first name. So I also gonna pre-fill this information. So we are going to use the get record, and we're going to say first name. So when the pop-up shows up, it's gonna show her first name. And we're also gonna do this pre-fill here, even though we know it's gonna be empty. What we are going to do, because we are going to show another type of filter that we can use. And in this case, the birthday is gonna be there. The user just needs to confirm. And here we don't need this information, so let me update the screen first. It's gonna be confirm birth date, and let's say here update, and hide the previous and hide the pause. We don't need those. So you can add any message here as well if you want. And I think our flow is good. So done. So once the flow finish, so now we are going to update the record. So update contact, and let's set that, load the contact here, and then the filter that we are going to use is the contact ID. And where we are going to get that, we can get from the user, or we can get from our record. That we have pre-filled already. So that's what we're going to do. And then here we are going to set the fields. So we have the first name field in the page, which is the text first name. And also we have we're going to update the birth date from the screen birth date. So that's the two fields we are going to update, and we are good. So we set done. So our flow technically is ready. So we are going to save here and say confirm birth date, and that's it. So save. So our flow is ready. Just activate here. So now we need to build the flow and the message. So I'm gonna go to EvoluteMessage, right? So just search here EvoluteMessage, and then I will add a new flow. So I have three types of message here. So in our case, we do want to display a flow. So we click here and display a flow, and we're going to say community, community or digital experience, community, confirm birth date. We don't need a header because we are going to show from the community, from the flow. And here we choose the flow, which is confirm birth date. We don't need to send any current page ID because we are not in a detail page or record page. We are in a home page, so we don't have an ID. We are not going to redirect, and we are not going to leave the message open when the user finishes the flow. We are going to close the message and stay in the same page. So that's what we're going to do, and basically that's it. Our flow is set. So now we just go here and publish, and then we go to our builder, the community builder. So, and here is our last message. We can have many messages we want. So let me add another one here. Let me refresh this page. Okay, so let me get that again. There you go. So here is the one before. So now we are going to get our confirmed birthday. So we don't want to see that on the builder. So let me remove that and auto refresh. We don't need auto refresh to publish. And that should be available now for the user. So if you go back to this page here, I am logged in as Sophia. So here's Sophia. So if I logged in the community again, and remember, I did not set up any filter. So this pop-up here, even though I have in this case it's empty, but if I update again, it's gonna update and it works. But if I refresh the page again, the pop-up is gonna show because I didn't put any filter here to say when the pop-up should load or not. So that's the next step we're going to do. So we have, and remember the component here doesn't have the display field here. From if we were in a Lightning builder, we would have. So how do we do that? The advanced message, we do have a filter here, and we can use data search to help us to filter the record. So basically I'm gonna add here a new data search, and I'm gonna say load contact when birth date is empty. So basically I will put contact. It's gonna be the contact ID, yeah, equal to the record ID. But remember, we are not in a record page. We are in a home page here, right? We are not in a record detail page. We are in a home page. So what we can do, it's like Salesforce flow. We get the logged in user ID. That's not the contact ID. So we get the logged in user ID, contact ID. So that's what we need here. And another thing we need here is the birth date. So when that it's equals to empty, we should load. This data source is gonna be load with one record. So I save that. Now I'm gonna go to my message, and I'm gonna say filter, and I'm gonna add the data source. So show message when the data source load contact when the birth is empty has a record. So any of the objects there has a record. So if a record returns from that data source, we are going to show the message. So that's what we want, because it's going to show only when the birth date it's empty. So if I go back now to my community, if I refresh, remember the birthday it's not empty, so it's not showing. So now if I go to the Sophia's record and update that to be empty, I also have to refresh this because I changed the record. So if I update the birthday here to be empty, just remove and save. And now if I go to the community here, digital experience, and refresh the page, there you go. I have my pop-up, right? And that's it. If I refresh, if I update here again, and that's it. I don't see the pop-up anymore, and the record here got updated as well. But let's say we don't want to check every time here if the date is empty. I do want the user to actually confirm the information. Let's say I do want to show the pop-up once for the user, and once the user submit, we don't show that anymore. So what we can do with that is, so we are going to put a different type of filter. We are going to use events. So we don't need filter anymore. So click OK. So we are going to enable the events. And then basically now I need to go and enable the filter and say which type of event I want to show the message. So I'm gonna say here, show the message when the current message display once per record, but we don't have a record page, so I'm gonna say once per user, right? So basically this message is gonna display just once per user. So if that user sees this message, we are not going to display this message anymore. So if I save here, and now the user sees the message, so if the user close this message or just go away, they will not see that anymore. So if they would refresh, because the message show once, now the message is not going to show that anymore. So that's what we could do if we want the message to display just once for the user. And then the user would update or not. It's up to them. If you do want to make the update work, so let's go back here. And let's, I need the user ID. I actually don't need a user ID. I just need to clean the events. Let's find a user. And it's Sophia. Okay, so now if she accesses again, she would see the message. If I want to actually force the user to update, then I do need to use to update a record when she clicks update, and then that logic would be on the flow. But if I want the message to display just once, I could use the events to do that, as you could see here. So I think that's it for how to show a message, a flow into a community site. You can play, there's a lot of configurations you can play with, events or data source. You can add multiple objects here if you want, or multiple even data sources into the message. You can add many data sources here, and each one has its own logic. So yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. You can go to EvoluteMessage, and we do have a documentation for the flow and for community, which is the digital experience. And also, if you have any feedback that you think you want to discuss or you think would be nice to have in the pop-up, so let me know here. Another thing I would like to say is, in this scenario here, we did use the advanced message, which means that you do in this case here, Sophia White does have a permission. So let me go to the user to show, view customer user. She does have a permission set called EvoluteMessage show message because she does need access to the message. And that's it. The flow is the same permission that Salesforce use for its own flow component on the builder. And also, in order for the user to see the message, remember that who builds this message here is the admin. So you do need to add a share, and also in this case here, the user is updating the contact, and the contact is linked with an account. An account has a different owner, so in my case here, the owner of the account is myself. So I do need to add a share settings for public read write. So, but that's just normal permission that Salesforce would require you if you have a contact update here, right? We do follow the same principles for the permission that Salesforce will do on the flow. This is basically a Salesforce flow, but in a pop-up. That's all we did, and I think that's it. Okay. Thank you very much. And if you have any feedback, I would be very glad to hear and answer you. I guess in the max 24 hours. Thank you very much. Have a good day.